You want to
Take
get
this.
cozy?
Yeah, I take it to kiss my boy's sleeping right now. I don't want to wake him up.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Uh, how you been, Amy?
Good. How about you?
Uh, you know, I'm trying to get things honestly settled. After like losing my whole deal with the UFC, basically trying to work back up in there. Granted that I know like there's bigger reasons of what happened, but at the end of the day, I'm here and
Right.
trying to make
Well,
progress.
yeah, I mean that's definitely definitely want to ask you about that. How do you how do you prepare yourself mentally when you have four losses in a row? I mean, how do you then go in, and I know you have that win that you just came off of. How do you prepare yourself and keep that confidence and keep knowing like, hey, I'm here and there's a reason I'm here. What goes through your mind there?
Well, it's basically the ride. I end up telling you that because people that end up that don't know that like I was going through a lot last year. So 2021 was not the best, clearly, and it was showing in my performances, you know. But it was outside the cage, and people end up not understanding. Like they feel like, oh, you got to be 90%, hard work and 10% mental, and it's like, nah, it's actually 90% mental, where you got to be there and 10% of the hard work. And granted, the 10%, it's bigger than what people know of what you're working on, but it's that 90% that means everything. So my head wasn't there. Like people I was around, not the best people, and these are some like ex teammates or not teammates, but coaches and whatnot. And I had to end up making moves. I wasn't progressing or wasn't end up building. And at the same time, I'm end up trying to make everybody happy. And I had, I'm a father. And then found out that my whole reason of fighting was with my son, for my son, Eli and everything. That's my first child. So when I ended up losing my rights on being able to be in his life, things kind of like flipped, and it was kind of going back and forth of what am I doing here? Like, what am I doing? But I'm not registering it. One thing I'm doing is work harder. Whatever ends up happening, you just go harder in the paint, and you be good, and disguise your feelings, how things go. I am so sorry. Uh, okay. Okay. So yeah. So my mind's like over here registering on that left and right stuff. But this year I ended up finding myself. I ended up cleaning out my house, if that makes sense. Like I got over a situation of me being cut and everything. And I know the real reason why they cut me, and it was like more of a medical type ordeal. But I'm good and I'm clear. It's one of those situations. So now I'm able to push forward and find my real reason. My real reason is that I have a child named June that needs to eat, that needs to understand what hard work and what being where I'm at and what I'm able to end up doing. So it's like basically it's like one of those like Phoenix reborn, I guess you could say. So that's what happened for me.
Do you find that, having the former UFC title attached to your name makes it harder to find fights now that you're not in the UFC because you have that like experience that fighters know that you have and they know you're tough and they don't want to fight you at this level. They're not quite there yet. Have you found that or are there other reasons that maybe it's been difficult?
I don't know. It's definitely that because I had opportunities to jump in like a whole Bellator. It was like last second thing, but granted that it's last second for me, it's last second for them, and they ended up not taking it because the fact is I have a background. It is definitely tough to get fights just in general, but like up next, they gave me the opportunity, and there was a game opponent that was also an ex UFC fight or whatnot. And so I got an opportunity. So it's like oh, I see it.
Yeah,
I
I've got
see
a
the
cat.
cat. Welcome to the interview. But
they, only,
yeah,
they only come when I'm doing interviews.
that's the best part. That's the best part. But yeah, so I ended up in that little small transition. It's like I'm like stuck with a lot of people that don't want to fight me. But don't get me wrong, there is opportunities out there. It's just, hey, is it the last second or is it a good one or whatever the case is? Because right now, like I'm like in the middle of trying to open up and start this trucking, but that became an issue because of put like this. this whole time, I have literally ran up all my funds and my credit all the way down the drain of trying to run this business or try to start my own trucking business with my brother. Um, and it's like you end up realizing like who's on your side and not on your side type of deal, who's there. It's like it's hard for me to even get a loan. So that's already kind of like out the window. And then so it's like fighting is what I have to do. But the thing is, some people don't want to fight me. So it's like, all right. And then just like this, I've been trying to get in the whole bare knuckle. And nothing but points to BYB for them giving the opportunity because it's like I had a lot of things out, but it was all words and no one was actually stepping forward, and BYB stepped forward and gave me something. So it's like an opportunity. So it's like I'm here to try to grow with them. Like, I want to grow with them. Granted, I'm also a fan of Polymountain Analogy. Granted, he made this one little comment I did not like, and he said Manny Pacquiao had no footwork, and it was like, bro, like, I was giving you so much credit. It's like I used to follow his career. So just know that I used to follow Poly's career. He was one of those guys that was like, he was like a true artist to the game, or he is a true artist to the game. But when he made that comment, I was like, oh man, I can't mess with you. But besides that, shout out to BYB Extreme. They gave me the opportunity, especially when other people were just like looking past me. And I'm about to use this platform to honestly let them know that I'm me and I encourage, not encourage, but I welcome violence. It's just one of those things. And then, that bring me back either a bigger contract with them or uh, either work back into the UFC because I trained my whole training camp with Bobby and, Icon MMA and with Sam Mason. So, been nothing, basically, I've been working my butt off and I'm getting a lot better with a lot of things. So it's growth.
How different is it to prepare? I mean, there's the obvious no ground game, but like, how different has it been to prepare for a bare knuckle fight over an MMA fight?
So random, I don't know if like like majority of my style, like how my style is, it's all hands. I'm always hands. So in reality, it's just taking away the the gloves. But the funny thing about it is, before I even thought about jumping into the cage or boxing and stuff, I was doing a lot of fights. Growing up, it was a lot of fights. Just put it like that, a lot of bathroom stalls or at the park, meet you at the park or or telephone booths type ordeal. So it's like I was raised fighting. It's one of those things. Like I was learning and training, so I was able to protect myself because the bad areas that I was living in. So when I ended up getting into the cage, it was just my experience off on that ended up prevailing on a lot of things. And plus, I'm athletic, and uh, and then I have the mentality of working hard. So it's one of those things. I already have everything fit for me to do this. It's just when am I going to do it? And be honest, like in my eyes, that bare knuckle is really my home base, if anything. I got the reach, I have the range, I have the mentality, I have basically the body frame to actually do this. So and on top of that, I love boxing. And granted that it ain't in gloves, but I love to fight. It's one of those things. Like you could literally look at all my highlights. It's me throwing hands, me throwing more hands, and then on top of that, adding more hands. And then it don't matter who I go with because, like heck, I ended up throwing hands with Chito, Jonathan Martinez, in Brow as my super highlight of what everybody says that's my spark. Like at the end of the day, you take away grappling, which I was never the type of person to take people down. But don't get me wrong, now I'm able to do all that. Since I switched up camps and the whole coaching staffs, they've been on my bumper with it. And the place that I went to, it's a striking team. And I was with them in the beginning of my stuff. Stuff happened. Now I'm back, and by me coming back, it's basically fixed everything for me.
This might sound like a dumb question. I know Muay Thai fighters will like kick trees to make their shins numb or whatever.
Yeah.
Are you doing anything to prepare your hands? Like, is there anything you can do? I don't know.
Well, one, I'm gonna go ahead and say, they say there's never a dumb question out here. But no, I've been the little hand squeezer things, and then I end up purchasing one of these like extended, I don't know what they call it, but it's like you put your fingers through here and then you just end up expanding it. So it's like strengthening. I've been doing like push-ups on the floor, punching the bag, bare knuckle, but it comes down to the other things like you want to protect your hands. And my hands are just one of those things like they break every time, no matter what. So I'm like well prepared for it breaking, or it's the fact is in that I walk away not broken in at all, you know. But even either or, it's like I said, it's more the mentality of going through things, you know, and that's just how I always been. So ain't nothing new there for me.
What about your opponent? Have you had any chance to like look at him, or are you kind of just going into this like, I don't care who's in front of me, I'm just gonna fight?
Well, it's definitely that, but I know the guy's a tough guy. You know, he ended up fighting Dodson's brother, John Dodson's brother. For forgetting the guy's first name, but we follow each other on Instagram. He's pretty cool. But yeah, he ended up fighting him. I know it didn't like last that long, but then he had another fight with BYB where he lasted about 3 rounds with the guy, but wasn't like fully like watching it, just know that he did it. And I left everything else with my whole teammates, you know, or my coaching staff, or to let them like run through it. So my eyes, it's me going there. It don't matter who's in front of me, and that's always going to be the mentality and attitude for it, you know. But I do know that he's welcoming me to my debut, and my thing is got to put on a show, and that's me punching him in the face really hard. That's what I'm doing, you know. So it's all smiles there.
Is there any fear about, I mean, I guess fear is not the right word, but any apprehension about going into something new again? You know, you have all the experience in MMA, but now you're going to be walking into a new kind of a ring, a whole new promotion. Is there any pressure there, or are you just excited to kind of try something new?
So definitely excited to try something new. Only thing that I'll probably be like, probably a surprise is the triangle, because you don't know how big the kid, you know, the big as the ring is. Um, and it's like I have a like my game plan, not even that. It's like we have a system, and I built into the system. So now since I'm in that system, it involves space. But granted, as in if it doesn't have space, you know, it goes back to what I actually like to do. And my coaches and them, they get mad at me when I do it, because you know it's like, hey, you know, I can move, but if you telling me I can just sit here and do this and just throw, I'm gonna do it. I'm definitely I'm into that. So it's like I like the violent part of just throwing hands and the fans going wild and stuff like that. And I prove my point that I'm the bigger dog. You know, that's the part that I end up liking. So I think that will be the only thing that will probably be like the side sway on me. But since I'm back in South Carolina, which, you know, I love them or love out there and I love them, it's like probably like the second home or third home for me, you know. The people are out there like really awesome. And plus the food. So I'm enjoying, I'm prepared for the food part. But yeah, so since it's like a home base for me, which I grew up throwing hands with my bare knuckles and everything, that it's kind of like a home base. It's just the triangle part that I'm gonna have to get accustomed to. And 9 times out of 10, I'm probably not going to get enough time to get accustomed to it, because my mindset is to finish it in the first round. So that's the mindset. That's the goal. Why even push it when we don't have to?
And I guess my last question for you, you already mentioned that, you know, you kind of have like getting back into the UFC on your mind, or potentially making this, you know, your home. But do you have a game plan of how you see like, hey, I need to do 3 knockout wins and then I'm ready to go back to the UFC? Or do you have kind of a plan in your mind?
Oh yeah, definitely. Plan I definitely have is the blow up. No matter how you end up looking at it. Like say for argument's sake, I do, you know, I finished my I do 3 fights with the BYB, but at the same time they left me a window where I'm able to do cage fights as well. I go up on a 4 fight win streaks with knockouts. No matter what, I will be a talk. They'll be talking about me. They'll sit there and speak on it. And the thing is, how UFC they like to draw people that or the talk or like to be talked about. And I know they're probably going to frown upon as a bare knuckle, but the thing about it is, if I am the man in it, they're going to accept it. And small time, Junie, I'm in here. Come here, son. But yeah, so yeah, it ends up coming down into being like what's big and what's not. It's about me being the face. Like, heck, if I came from like Ninja Warriors, right? I just jumped into that, and they end up telling me a little background story that people end up engaging and looking at it and either becoming a fan and follow, or becoming a hater and follow. But regardless of the situation, I end up bringing my name about, and that ends up being more intriguing from someone that's not doing anything. So the plan is it's go out there and perform and show that my violence is still up, up the top. And I know people don't like to use the word, hey, violence, but in reality, it's a violent sport. I'm about the violence. I invite the violence. So I say, let's get down and get violent. So in reality, they sit there and see that Dre's ruthlessness is back. And it's like even better than when I first started. They're going to end up biting on. Because that was one thing that got me to my fight with him and Brow. Like I was with traveling places that were not home comfortable with me to get in. Like I went to CES, shout out to them. I went to CES to go and fight. And after that, before that, it was LFA. And these are all debuts of people that are supposed to murder me. Even one of Misha Tate's guys that I was supposed to end up losing to in the beginning of like 2016, or 2000, my bad, 18. That I was supposed to get murdered, but I was on a winning streak. It got me going to Brazil to fight Renan Brow, which I was supposed to lose. I'm right here. Come here, Jim. Are you guys going to end up seeing my son? Come here. Yeah, your tablet work. Hold on. Yes, it does. Come here. Say hi.
Hi.
That's Amy. Hi. Say hi, Amy.
How are you?
It's my dad.
So cute.
Yeah, so this is my added reason of everything of making things function now,
Awesome.
And it should end up being a thing back then, but I was like lost in my own head, and like I said, when like mental illness is a thing, and I know like people want to end up ignoring it and say that it's not, but it is. And I was damaging myself.
That's the working.
Yeah, yes, it does. We just gotta end up finding it. All right. Okay. All right, I'm gonna end up finishing. Okay. All right. Say bye.
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 Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'm working. I'll end up making you some breakfast. Okay. But yeah, so yeah, on argument's sake, that's the situation for me. So it's like it's all about here, and that's where I'm like functioning, and that's where I'm good with now. So I'm in a better place.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm excited to watch Friday, right?
Yes, this Friday, BYB stream number 13. I think there's 8 fights, and I'm number 5, I believe, unless the order changes. But regardless of the situation, I'm coming in here bringing a bang with Dragon Fist. And I know they want to call me Mr. Highlight, but we switched this to Dragon Fist. Boom. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate it, Amy. Thank you.
Bye.
Until next time. Bye.